You have probably hired people for jobs they never agreed to do. You made one person responsible for your happiness, another responsible for your confidence, someone else responsible for giving you closure, and perhaps an entire group responsible for making you feel accepted. Then you became angry when they failed at positions that existed only inside your expectations. That is where so much disappointment begins. People can love you without understanding you, support you without saving you, and stay close without becoming responsible for your entire emotional life. There are 9 jobs you need to take back from other people, because the moment you do, dependence starts disappearing and personal power starts returning. Chapter 1. Never expect other people to completely understand you. One of the most exhausting expectations is believing that people should automatically understand what you are going through. They can see your actions and hear your words, but they cannot always feel the pain, pressure, memories, or emotions behind them. Someone may see you becoming quiet and think you are being rude, while the truth is that you are simply tired or trying to protect your peace. Even people who love you can misunderstand you because everyone sees life through their own experiences. You may explain yourself clearly and still find that someone sees the situation differently. This does not always mean they do not care. It simply means they are not living inside your mind. Emotional maturity begins when you stop trying to make everyone understand you perfectly. Explain yourself when necessary, but do not keep repeating yourself just to win someone's approval. If you know your intentions and understand why you made a certain choice, that should matter more than every outside opinion. Some people will understand you deeply, some will understand only part of you, and others may never understand you at all. Your peace begins when you accept that you do not need to correct every misunderstanding or prove yourself to everyone. Chapter 2. Never expect someone else to give you self-worth. It feels good when people praise you, choose you, respect you, or tell you that you are doing well. But the problem begins when you need those things to feel valuable. If approval gives you confidence, criticism can quickly take that confidence away. If someone's attention makes you feel important, their silence can make you question yourself. Your self-worth should not depend on how other people treat you. People can change their opinions, lose interest, criticize you, or walk away, but none of those things decide your true value. You must learn to respect yourself even when nobody is clapping for you. Real confidence grows when you keep promises to yourself, improve your habits, learn from mistakes, protect your boundaries, and continue working toward your goals. The more you prove to yourself that you can handle difficult moments, the less you need constant approval from others. Appreciate compliments and support when they come, but never make them necessary for your confidence. The strongest mindset is being able to say, even if nobody believes in me right now, I will still believe in myself. Chapter 3. Never expect someone to save you from your own life. One of the hardest lessons in life is realizing that nobody is coming to completely rescue you. People can help you, support you, encourage you, give you advice, open doors for you, and stand beside you during difficult moments, but they cannot live your life for you. At some point, you must become responsible for your own direction. It is easy to believe that everything will become better when the right person arrives, when someone gives you the perfect opportunity, when a partner changes your life, or when someone finally understands your struggles and helps you fix everything. But waiting for another person to save you can keep you stuck for years. You keep hoping something outside you will change while ignoring the things inside your control. Someone can give you advice, but they cannot force you to follow it. Someone can motivate you for one day, but they cannot create discipline for you every morning. Someone can give you money, but they cannot teach you responsibility unless you are willing to learn. Someone can introduce you to an opportunity, but you still have to show up, work hard, and prove yourself. This is why your life begins to change when you stop asking, "Who is going to help me?" and start asking, "What can I do from here?" That question immediately brings your power back. Maybe you cannot fix everything today, but you can take one step. You can make one better decision. You can change one habit. You can walk away from one situation that keeps hurting you. You can begin learning something that improves your future. There will also be times when the people you expected to help you simply do not. A friend may disappear when you are struggling. A family member may not understand your goals. Someone you trusted may disappoint you. This can hurt deeply, but it can also teach you not to build your entire future around another person's support. Being responsible for yourself does not mean refusing help. Strong people ask for help when they need it. They listen to advice, learn from others, and accept support. The difference is that they do not sit still waiting for someone else to do everything for them. You may have been given difficult circumstances. You may have experienced disappointment, rejection, failure, or situations you never chose. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can decide what you do next. That decision is where your strength begins. The more you learn to solve your own problems, control your habits, make difficult decisions, and keep moving even when nobody is pushing you, the more confident you become. You stop fearing every difficult situation because you know you can depend on yourself. Do not spend your life waiting for a hero to arrive. Take the help that comes. Appreciate the people who support you, but remember that the person who must take the final step is you. Your future becomes stronger when you stop waiting to be rescued and start becoming someone capable of rescuing yourself. Chapter 4. Never expect other people to give you closure. One of the hardest things to accept is that not every painful situation will end with a clear explanation. Sometimes a relationship ends and you never fully understand why. Sometimes someone hurts you and never apologizes. Sometimes a friend becomes distant without telling you what changed. Sometimes you are left with questions that nobody seems willing to answer. This is difficult because the mind naturally wants everything to make sense. You want to know what happened, why it happened, and whether you could have done something differently. When you do not get those answers, you may keep thinking about the situation again and again. You replay old conversations in your mind. You remember small details. You wonder whether you missed a warning sign. You imagine what you would say if you had one final conversation with that person. You may even hope they return one day just to explain everything properly. But waiting for someone else to give you closure can keep you emotionally connected to them for far too long. You may have physically moved on, but mentally you are still standing in the same place, waiting for an answer that may never come. The other person may already be living their life while you are still trying to understand something they are no longer thinking about. This is why you must learn that closure does not always come from another person. Sometimes closure comes from your own decision to accept what happened, even when you do not understand every detail. You may never know exactly why someone changed. You may never receive the apology you deserved. You may never hear them admit that they were wrong, but you can still decide that you will no longer allow the situation to control your thoughts. Sometimes people's actions are already the explanation. If someone repeatedly disrespected you, that tells you something. If they kept disappearing and returning whenever it was convenient for them, that tells you something. If they made promises but never changed their behavior, that tells you something. You do not always need another conversation when their actions have already shown you the truth. Many people stay trapped because they are waiting for the perfect ending. They want the other person to say exactly the right words so they can finally feel peaceful. But life does not always give perfect endings. Some chapters end suddenly. Some friendships slowly disappear. Some relationships finish with silence instead of answers. Your healing cannot depend completely on whether someone chooses to explain themselves. You also need to understand that an apology does not always heal everything. Sometimes the person finally says sorry, but you still feel hurt. Sometimes they explain why they behaved badly, but the explanation does not change what happened. This shows you that real closure is deeper than hearing certain words. It comes from accepting reality and deciding what you will do with it. You can tell yourself, "I did not get every answer, but I know enough." Maybe you know that the situation was hurting you. Maybe you know that trust was broken. Maybe you know that you were constantly anxious, confused, or unhappy. Sometimes that is enough information to move forward. Closure also means forgiving yourself for not knowing better at the time. You may look back and think, "Why did I stay so long?" Or, "Why did I trust them?" Or, "Why did I ignore those signs?" But judging your past self with the knowledge you have today is unfair. You made decisions based on what you understood at that moment. Learn from it instead of punishing yourself for it. You do not need to hate the person in order to move on. You do not need revenge. You do not need them to suffer so you can feel better. Real closure is when their life is no longer the center of your attention. It is when you stop checking what they are doing, stop hoping they regret losing you, and stop imagining conversations that may never happen. There comes a point when protecting your peace becomes more important than understanding every detail. You decide that you will not keep reopening the same wound just because you still have questions. You accept that some answers may remain unknown, and you choose to continue living anyway. Sometimes closure is simply saying, "This happened, it hurt me, I learned from it. I cannot change the past, but I can choose what happens next." That decision may not remove every emotion immediately, but it gives you a direction. Do not give another person permanent control over your healing. They may have been part of the reason you were hurt, but they do not have to become the person responsible for making you whole again. You can close the chapter yourself. You can accept what you cannot change, carry the lesson forward, and leave the pain behind without waiting for someone else to give you permission. Chapter 5. Never expect people to be as loyal as you are. One of the most painful lessons in life is realizing that not everyone will treat you the way you treat them. You may be the kind of person who remembers important dates, keeps promises, protects secrets, checks on people when they are struggling, and stays when things become difficult. Because loyalty comes naturally to you, you may assume that other people will give you the same level of care in return. But life does not always work that way. You may support someone during their worst days and later discover that they are nowhere to be found when you need help. You may defend someone when other people speak badly about them, only to learn that they did not defend you when your name was mentioned. You may keep someone's private problems to yourself, yet they may share your personal matters with others. You may make time for someone again and again, but when you need a few minutes of their attention, they suddenly seem too busy. These experiences can hurt because you are not only disappointed by what happened, you are also disappointed because you expected the other person to have the same heart, values, and standards that you have. You think, "I would never do that to them, so why would they do it to me?" But this is where you have to understand something important. Your character does not automatically become someone else's character. The way you love people shows who you are. The way they treat you shows who they are. Your loyalty is not a guarantee that another person will be loyal. Your honesty does not guarantee their honesty. Your kindness does not guarantee their kindness. Your effort does not guarantee equal effort in return. This does not mean you should stop being a good person. It does not mean you should become cold, suspicious, or selfish just because someone disappointed you. The goal is not to lose your good qualities. The goal is to stop giving those qualities blindly to people who repeatedly show that they do not value them. There is a difference between being loyal and being available for endless disrespect. Loyalty should not mean staying in every relationship, no matter how badly you are treated. It should not mean forgiving the same behavior again and again without any change. It should not mean allowing someone to use you simply because you have known them for a long time. Sometimes people use the word loyalty to keep you trapped. They may say, After everything we have been through, how can you leave? But history does not give anyone permission to disrespect you forever. A long friendship does not make repeated betrayal acceptable. A family connection does not mean you must tolerate constant manipulation. A relationship does not become healthy simply because it has lasted for many years. Pay attention to patterns instead of promises. Anyone can say, "I am always here for you." The real question is whether their actions prove it. Anyone can call you a close friend. The real question is how they behave when you have nothing to offer them. Anyone can promise loyalty when life is easy. The real test comes when there is pressure, inconvenience, conflict, or temptation. Notice who celebrates your success without becoming uncomfortable. Notice who respects your boundaries even when they do not benefit from them. Notice who checks on you without needing something first. Notice who speaks well about you when you are not in the room. Notice who can disagree with you without trying to embarrass or destroy you. These small things reveal a person's character more clearly than big promises. You should also understand that not every imbalance means someone is a bad person. Sometimes people have different ways of showing care. You may express loyalty by being available all the time, while someone else shows it by giving honest advice or helping when there is a real emergency. This is why communication matters. Do not judge every relationship based only on whether people behave exactly like you. But when the pattern becomes consistently one-sided, you have to be honest with yourself. If you are always the one calling, checking in, apologizing, fixing problems, making plans, forgiving, and making excuses for the other person, then you may not have a balanced relationship. You may be carrying something that requires two people. A healthy relationship should not make you constantly wonder whether you matter. You should not have to beg for basic respect. You should not have to keep proving your value to someone who only appreciates you when you are useful to them. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is lower your expectations instead of constantly increasing your effort. If someone has shown you repeatedly that they are unreliable, believe the pattern. Stop expecting them to suddenly become dependable just because you need them to be. If someone only contacts you when they need help, stop being surprised when they disappear afterward. This is not bitterness, it is awareness. You can care about someone while understanding their limitations. You can love someone without trusting them with everything. You can forgive someone without returning the same level of access they once had. Forgiveness and access are not the same thing. That is an important lesson because many people believe that if they forgive someone, they must immediately return to the old relationship. But you can forgive someone in your heart and still decide that the relationship needs stronger boundaries. You can wish someone well and still stop depending on them. Do not measure your worth by how loyal other people are to you. Someone betraying you does not mean you were foolish for being sincere. Someone failing to appreciate your effort does not make your effort meaningless. It simply means you learned something important about where your energy should and should not go. The goal is not to stop trusting everyone. The goal is to trust wisely. Give people time to show you who they are. Watch how they behave when they are angry, jealous, stressed, successful, or disappointed. Character becomes clearer during difficult moments. Anyone can act loyal when there is nothing to lose. And remember this, loyalty should always include loyalty to yourself. Do not stay loyal to people who constantly make you betray your own peace. Do not keep protecting someone who keeps damaging your confidence. Do not keep choosing someone who repeatedly makes you feel small, unimportant, or replaceable. You can be a loyal person and still walk away. You can be kind and still set limits. You can forgive and still remember the lesson. You can love people deeply without expecting every person to love you in exactly the same way. Once you understand this, disappointment becomes easier to handle. You stop expecting your heart from everyone you meet. You begin appreciating the people who genuinely return your effort while becoming more careful with those who do not. Stay loyal to good people, but most importantly, stay loyal to your values, your dignity, and the life you are trying to build. Chapter 6. Never expect someone else to make you happy. One of the biggest mistakes people make is placing the responsibility for their happiness in someone else's hands. It usually happens slowly. At first, you simply enjoy someone's company. You like talking to them, spending time with them, hearing from them, and sharing your life with them. There is nothing wrong with that. Human connection is important, and good relationships can bring warmth, support, laughter, comfort, and meaning into your life. The problem begins when that person stops being part of your happiness and starts becoming the entire source of it. When this happens, your emotional state becomes dependent on their behavior. If they text you, you feel good. If they do not, you start overthinking. If they give you attention, your day feels better. If they become distant, suddenly everything feels wrong. If they praise you, you feel confident. If they seem cold, you begin questioning yourself. Without realizing it, you have given another person the power to control how you feel about your entire life. That kind of dependence can become exhausting because people are naturally inconsistent. Everyone has their own responsibilities, moods, problems, goals, and struggles. Even someone who truly loves you cannot give you constant attention every hour of every day. There will be times when they are tired, busy, distracted, stressed, or focused on something else. If your happiness depends completely on their attention, every normal change in their behavior can feel like rejection. You may begin asking questions like, why are they not talking to me the same way today? Did I do something wrong? Are they losing interest? Why do they seem happier without me? Sometimes, nothing serious has even happened, but because you have made their attention so important, the smallest change feels dangerous. This is why emotional independence matters. Emotional independence does not mean you stop caring about people. It does not mean relationships become unimportant. It simply means you learn how to enjoy love without making it responsible for your entire emotional life. Think about the difference between these two mindsets. One person says, "You make my life worth living." Another says, "My life already has meaning, and I am grateful that you are part of it." The first mindset sounds romantic, but it can create fear and dependence. The second creates healthier love, because both people are choosing each other rather than using each other to escape emptiness. You need parts of your life that belong only to you. You need interests that make you curious, goals that make you excited, routines that keep you grounded, and activities you can enjoy even when nobody else is around. You need to know how to spend an afternoon alone without feeling as if something is missing. You need to know how to sit quietly with yourself without immediately reaching for another person's attention. Many people are afraid of being alone because they confuse being alone with being unwanted. These are not the same thing. You can spend time alone and still be deeply loved. You can be in a room full of people and still feel lonely. Solitude is simply time spent with yourself, and if you learn how to use it well, it can become one of the healthiest parts of your life. Use that time to understand yourself. Ask what actually makes you feel alive. Maybe you enjoy walking, reading, creating something, exercising, learning a new skill, listening to music, working on a personal project, cooking, writing, traveling, or simply having a quiet morning without pressure. These things may seem small, but they teach your mind something important. Happiness can come from many places. The more sources of meaning you build, the less pressure you place on one person to provide everything. Imagine expecting one person to be your best friend, your motivation, your therapist, your entertainment, your confidence, your purpose, your social life, your comfort, and your source of excitement. That is too much responsibility for anyone. Eventually, Either they feel trapped by your dependence, or you feel constantly disappointed because no human being can meet every emotional need perfectly. Healthy relationships need space. They need two people who can stand on their own and still enjoy standing together. This is especially important when relationships change. People move away. Friendships become less close. Romantic relationships sometimes end. Family members become busy with their own lives. If your happiness was built around only one person, their absence can make you feel like your entire life has disappeared. The pain of losing someone is real, and you should never pretend otherwise. But there is a difference between grieving someone and losing your entire identity because they are gone. When you have built a strong relationship with yourself, loss still hurts, but you know there is still a life waiting for you on the other side of that pain. You still have your goals, you still have your values, you still have your interests, you still have your ability to learn, you still have your future, you still have yourself. This is why one of the best things you can do for any relationship is continue being a complete person while you are inside it. Do not abandon every hobby because you found someone you love. Do not disappear from every friendship because you entered a relationship. Do not stop working on your own goals because another person became important to you. Keep building yourself. Keep learning. Keep improving. Keep maintaining a life that feels meaningful even when the other person is not physically beside you. This makes love stronger, not weaker. When two people both have their own identity, they can come together without constantly suffocating each other. They can give each other space without assuming something is wrong. They can spend time apart without panic. They can support each other's individual dreams instead of feeling threatened by them. Dependence often creates fear. Independence creates choice. If you believe, "I cannot be happy without this person," then you may tolerate things you normally would not accept. You may ignore disrespect because you are afraid to lose them. You may stay silent about your needs because you think speaking honestly could make them leave. You may lower your standards because loneliness feels more frightening than mistreatment. This is where dependence becomes dangerous. When someone becomes responsible for your happiness, you may begin sacrificing your peace just to keep them close. But when you know how to create happiness within your own life, you become less afraid of losing people who treat you poorly. You can say, "I care about you, but I also care about myself." You can set boundaries without believing that the relationship is your only chance at happiness. This does not mean you become quick to leave everyone. It means fear no longer makes every decision for you. Another important lesson is that happiness itself is not something you will feel every moment. Sometimes people expect another person to keep them permanently excited, entertained, or emotionally high. That is unrealistic. Life contains boring days, stressful days, ordinary days, and difficult days. No relationship can remove that reality. A healthy life is not a life where you are smiling all the time. It is a life where you have enough inner stability to handle different emotions without believing something is wrong with you. Sometimes happiness will look like excitement. Sometimes it will look like peace. Sometimes it will look like having a quiet morning. Sometimes it will look like finishing something difficult. Sometimes it will look like laughing with someone you love. Sometimes it will simply mean going to sleep knowing you did your best that day. Do not make happiness so complicated that you can only experience it under perfect conditions. A lot of people also delay happiness by saying, "I will be happy when I meet the right person." Then they meet someone and say, "I will be happy when this relationship becomes serious." Later they say, "I will be happy when we build the perfect life together." There is always another condition. This habit teaches you to constantly wait for happiness, instead of noticing what is already available in the present. The truth is that another person cannot permanently fix an unhappy relationship you have with yourself. If you constantly criticize yourself, avoid your own company, ignore your needs, and have no personal direction, Another person's attention may distract you for a while, but eventually those problems return. This is why you need to build happiness from the inside as well as the outside. Start by noticing the way you speak to yourself. If you spend all day telling yourself that you are not enough, nobody else's compliments will ever feel sufficient. You may receive 10 kind comments and still focus on one criticism. Inner peace becomes easier when you stop being your own worst enemy. Learn to encourage yourself. Recognize your progress. Celebrate small wins. Give yourself credit for things nobody else sees. Maybe nobody knows how difficult it was for you to get through a certain period. Maybe nobody sees the discipline behind your progress. You can still recognize it. You should also stop waiting for other people to create enjoyable experiences for you. If you want to visit somewhere, explore whether you can go alone. If you want to learn something, start learning. If you want to improve your health, begin. If you want a peaceful evening, create one. Do not constantly wait for someone to join you before you start living. There is something powerful about becoming comfortable doing simple things alone. Going for a walk, sitting in a cafe, watching a movie, reading in a park, working on a personal project, eating a meal without needing someone across the table. These experiences teach you that your own presence is not something you have to escape from. The more comfortable you become with yourself, the better your relationships can become because you stop approaching people from desperation. Instead of saying, "Please fill the emptiness in my life," your presence says, "My life already has direction, and I would love to share it with you." That energy feels completely different. People can feel when someone is depending on them for every emotion. It creates pressure. They may start feeling responsible for keeping you constantly happy, and eventually that responsibility can become overwhelming. When you manage your own emotional life, you remove some of that pressure. You can tell someone, "I had a difficult day," without expecting them to magically fix everything. You can receive comfort without making them responsible for removing every negative emotion. That is emotional maturity. It also means learning to calm yourself when something goes wrong. If a friend does not answer immediately, you do not instantly assume the friendship is ending. If your partner needs space, you do not automatically believe they stopped loving you. You learn to pause before creating the worst possible story in your mind. You remind yourself that other people have lives too. You give situations time. You communicate instead of imagining. You build enough inner security that every small change does not become a crisis. Another part of creating your own happiness is having a sense of purpose. Purpose does not have to mean changing the entire world. It can simply mean having something meaningful you are working toward. Maybe you want to become healthier. Maybe you want to improve your career. Maybe you want to build a business. Maybe you want to become a better parent. Maybe you want to create something. Maybe you want to learn a language, improve your finances, help your family, or become more disciplined. Having your own direction gives your mind somewhere meaningful to place its energy. Without personal purpose, it is easy to make another person your entire focus. You begin watching every change in their behavior because you have nothing else important occupying your attention. Build a life that has more than one center. Have people you love, but also have goals. Have relationships, but also have standards. Have connection, but also have solitude. Have responsibilities, but also have interests. Have plans with others, but also have plans for yourself. Balance protects you. You should also understand that there will be seasons when happiness feels harder to find. You may go through disappointment, failure, loneliness, stress, or uncertainty. During these periods, do not expect another person to carry you emotionally every single day. Accept their support, but also develop tools for yourself. Learn how to rest without giving up. Learn how to organize your thoughts. Learn how to create routines that help you through difficult periods. Learn how to move your body, sleep properly, reduce unnecessary stress, and make small decisions that improve your mental environment. Sometimes happiness is not about finding something exciting. Sometimes it is about removing things that constantly drain you. Maybe you need less comparison. Maybe you need less time around negative people. Maybe you need fewer arguments. Maybe you need better boundaries. Maybe you need to stop checking someone's social media. Maybe you need to stop chasing people who repeatedly make you question your worth. Happiness is not only something you add. Sometimes it is what remains after you stop feeding unnecessary pain. And this is where personal responsibility becomes powerful. Instead of constantly asking, "Why is nobody making me happy?" begin asking, "What am I doing every day that either supports or destroys my own peace?" That question can change your life. Look at your habits. Look at your environment. Look at your relationships. Look at your thoughts. Look at how you spend your time. Look at what you continue tolerating. There may be areas where you have more control than you realized. You may not control everything happening around you, but you can often change how much access certain things have to your mind. Another person should never have to become your permanent escape from yourself. If you only feel okay when you are talking to them, there may be something inside you that deserves attention. Instead of immediately searching for another distraction, learn to sit with yourself long enough to understand what is missing. Maybe you need confidence. Maybe you need purpose. Maybe you need healing. Maybe you need stronger friendships. Maybe you need more structure. Maybe you need to forgive yourself for something. Maybe you simply need to build a fuller life. Once you start working on those areas, your relationships become healthier because you are no longer asking another person to solve problems that belong inside you. This also protects you from manipulation. When someone knows that your entire happiness depends on their approval, they can control you by giving and removing attention. They can become warm when they want something and distant when they want you to chase them. But when you have your own emotional foundation, this pattern becomes much less powerful. You notice it. You do not panic. You do not immediately run after them. You maintain your standards. That is not being cold. That is having emotional boundaries. You should be able to love someone deeply and still say no. You should be able to miss someone and still avoid chasing them when they have clearly chosen distance. You should be able to care about a person and still recognize when the relationship is unhealthy. You should be able to enjoy someone's presence without becoming terrified of their absence. That is the kind of strength you want to develop. It allows you to love more freely because your love is no longer controlled by constant fear. You stop holding people too tightly. You stop needing constant reassurance. You stop treating every disagreement like the end. You stop believing that being alone for one evening means you are lonely. You become more peaceful because your emotional life has more than one source. And something surprising happens when you stop expecting another person to make you happy. You begin appreciating them more. Why? Because gratitude replaces demand. You stop thinking, "You must make me feel good." Instead you think, "I am grateful for the joy you bring into my life." That is a healthier kind of love. You appreciate their presence without trying to own it. You enjoy their attention without demanding it constantly. You receive their support without making it your only strength. And you can give love without quietly expecting the other person to repair every part of you. At the end of the day, happiness is your responsibility. Other people can contribute to it, increase it, and share it with you, but they cannot permanently create it for you. Build a life you enjoy waking up to. Create routines that make you feel grounded. Find interests that belong to you. Take care of your body and mind. Work toward goals that give your days direction. Spend time with people who bring healthy energy into your life. Learn how to be alone without feeling abandoned. And most importantly, stop waiting for another human being to give you permission to enjoy your own life. Love people deeply, but do not hand them the keys to your emotional world. Let them add to your happiness, not become responsible for it. because when you finally learn how to create peace, purpose, and meaning within your own life, relationships stop feeling like something you desperately need to survive. They become something beautiful you freely choose to experience. Chapter 7. Never expect someone else to make your difficult decisions. One of the hardest parts of becoming mentally strong is accepting that some decisions will always be yours to make. Other people can give you advice, share their experience, warn you, encourage you, or tell you what they would do in your situation, but they still cannot make the final choice for you. At some point, you have to decide what direction your life will take, and you have to accept the consequences that come with that decision. This can feel uncomfortable because difficult decisions usually come with uncertainty. You may not know exactly what will happen. You may be afraid of making the wrong choice. You may worry that you will disappoint someone, lose an opportunity, hurt someone's feelings, waste time, or regret what you decide later. Because of this fear, it can be tempting to keep asking more and more people what you should do. You ask your family, you ask your friends, you ask someone older than you, you watch videos, you search online, you compare opinions, you keep collecting advice because you hope that eventually someone will give you an answer that feels completely safe. But many important decisions do not come with complete certainty. Sometimes both choices have risks. Sometimes both choices have benefits. Sometimes there is no perfect answer. That is why you must learn the difference between asking for guidance and giving away responsibility for your life. Advice can be useful. In fact, refusing all advice can be foolish. Other people may notice things you cannot see. Someone who has already experienced a similar situation may help you avoid a mistake. A trusted person may ask a question that changes the way you see the problem. Listening to wise people is important, but listening is not the same as obeying every opinion you hear. Different people will give you different advice because they are looking at your life through their own experiences. One person may tell you to take a risk because taking risks worked well for them. Another may tell you to play it safe because they once lost everything by taking a chance. Both people may be sincere, but their advice comes from their own history. This is why you cannot simply collect opinions and treat the most popular answer as the correct one. Your life has details that nobody else fully understands. Your responsibilities are different. Your goals are different. Your personality is different. Your values are different. Your financial situation may be different. Your family situation may be different. Your level of risk may be different. What worked perfectly for someone else may not be right for you. Imagine you are thinking about changing careers. One friend tells you to leave your job immediately because life is short. Another tells you to stay because stability is important. Your parents may tell you to choose security. Someone successful online may tell you to follow your passion. All of these people may genuinely want the best for you, but none of them has to wake up every morning and live with your decision. You do. You have to pay your bills. You have to deal with the stress. You have to do the work. You have to live with the consequences if the decision succeeds or fails. That is why difficult choices require more than outside opinions. They require self-awareness. You have to ask yourself honest questions. What do I actually want? What am I afraid of? Am I avoiding something because it is wrong for me, or because I am afraid? Am I staying because I truly want to stay, or because I am scared to disappoint people? Am I leaving because it is the right decision, or because I am reacting emotionally? What choice fits the person I want to become? What consequences am I willing to accept? These questions are not always easy to answer, but they help you understand whether you are making a decision from clarity or pressure. One of the biggest problems with letting other people decide for you is that it can slowly destroy your trust in yourself. If you always ask someone else what to do, eventually you begin believing that your own judgment is not good enough. You start needing permission for everything. You need someone to tell you whether a relationship is right. You need someone to tell you whether you should apply for an opportunity. You need someone to tell you whether you should speak up. You need someone to tell you whether you should leave. You need someone to tell you whether your feelings are reasonable. Over time, you become afraid to make even small decisions without approval. That is not freedom. A strong mind is not a mind that always knows the perfect answer. A strong mind is a mind that can gather information, think carefully, make a choice, and take responsibility for what happens next. You will make mistakes. That is unavoidable. There will be decisions you regret. There will be times when you look back and think, I should have chosen differently. But making mistakes is also how judgment becomes stronger. Think about how people learn to make good decisions. They do not become wise by avoiding every choice. They become wise by choosing, observing the result, learning, and adjusting. If you never allow yourself to make decisions, you never develop that skill. This is why you should stop expecting perfect certainty before moving forward. Sometimes you will only have enough information to make the best decision you can at that moment. That is enough. You do not need to know the entire future. You need to know what makes the most sense, based on what you understand today. There is also an emotional side to difficult decisions that many people ignore. Sometimes you already know what you need to do, but you keep asking other people because you are hoping someone will give you permission to avoid the uncomfortable choice. Maybe you know a relationship is unhealthy, but you keep asking friends what they think because you are afraid to leave. Maybe you know a job is destroying your well-being, but you keep hoping someone will tell you to stay because change feels frightening. Maybe you know you need to set a boundary, but you keep looking for someone to tell you that you are not being selfish. Sometimes the problem is not that you do not know the answer. The problem is that you do not like the cost of the answer. This is where courage becomes important. Good decisions can still hurt. You can make the right decision and still feel sad. You can leave something unhealthy and still miss it. You can set a necessary boundary and still feel guilty. You can choose yourself and still disappoint someone. You can walk away from an opportunity that looks good on the outside because you know it is wrong for you. Doing what is right does not always feel comfortable immediately. Many people believe that if a decision feels painful, it must be wrong. That is not true. Some of the healthiest decisions you make will hurt because they require letting go of something familiar. Familiar does not always mean good. Comfortable does not always mean healthy. Easy does not always mean right. You have to learn how to sit with temporary discomfort when you know a decision protects your long-term peace. Another mistake people make is trying to please everyone when making important choices. This is impossible. Every major decision will probably disappoint someone. If you choose one career, someone may wish you chose another. If you move to another city, someone may want you to stay. If you end a relationship, some people may disagree. If you start something new, some people may think you are taking too much risk. If you choose a quieter life, someone may call you unambitious. If you focus strongly on your goals, someone may say you have changed. You cannot build your life around avoiding other people's disappointment. If you try, you may eventually become deeply disappointed in yourself. This does not mean you should ignore the people you love. Their feelings matter. Their advice can matter. Your choices can affect them, especially when you have shared responsibilities. But there is still a difference between considering someone and surrendering yourself to them. A mature decision says, I have listened to you, I understand your concerns, I respect your perspective, but I also have to live with this choice. That is different from saying, I will do whatever makes everyone else comfortable. Sometimes people will pressure you because your decision affects what they receive from you. For example, if you decide to stop always being available, someone who benefited from your constant availability may tell you that you are becoming selfish. If you decide to focus more on your own goals, someone who was comfortable having unlimited access to your time may not like it. This is why you should pay attention to where advice is coming from. Ask yourself whether the person advising you truly wants what is best for you or mainly wants what is most convenient for them. Not every opinion deserves equal weight. Someone who has never taken responsibility for their own life may not be the best person to guide yours. Someone who repeatedly makes poor decisions may still love you, but their advice should be considered carefully. Someone who benefits from you staying exactly where you are may not be completely objective when telling you not to change. You need wisdom not only in making decisions, but also in choosing whose advice you take seriously. A useful question is, does this person have the kind of judgment, experience, or character I respect in this area? If you want financial advice, listen carefully to someone who handles money responsibly. If you want relationship advice, consider whether the person giving it has healthy relationship patterns. If you want career advice, listen to people who understand the kind of work you are considering. Love alone does not automatically make someone an expert on every part of your life. Another important skill is learning to separate fear from intuition. Fear often says, "Do not move because something might go wrong." Intuition is usually quieter. It may tell you, "Something about this does not feel right," even when everything looks good from the outside. Learning the difference takes time. Fear is often loud, repetitive, and focused on worst-case scenarios. Clear judgment is usually more balanced. It considers both risk and possibility. This is why emotional decisions should sometimes be given time. If you are extremely angry, embarrassed, afraid, or excited, you may not be thinking clearly. When possible, give yourself space before making a permanent decision in a temporary emotional state. Sleep on it. Write down the options, look at the facts, think about the long-term consequences. Ask whether the decision will still make sense after the emotion becomes less intense. This small pause can prevent many unnecessary mistakes. You should also remember that not making a decision is still a decision. People sometimes remain stuck for years because they believe they are avoiding risk by refusing to choose. But staying in the same place has consequences too. Staying in the wrong job costs time. Remaining in an unhealthy relationship has a cost. Avoiding a difficult conversation has a cost. Refusing to choose between two paths means time is still moving while you wait. Indecision can feel safe because you are not actively choosing anything, but it can quietly become one of the most expensive choices you make. There comes a point when more thinking does not create more clarity. It only creates more anxiety. You can analyze something so many times that you become less confident instead of more confident. At that point, you may need to accept that you have enough information and make the best choice available. Another part of strong decision-making is taking responsibility afterward. If you make a choice and it goes badly, do not immediately blame the person who advised you. You were still the one who chose. Maybe they gave poor advice. Maybe you trusted the wrong person. Maybe you ignored something important. Learn from that. Responsibility is powerful because it gives you the ability to improve. If everything is always someone else's fault, then you have no reason to change anything. But when you say, "I made this choice, it did not work. What can I learn?" you become wiser. Do not confuse responsibility with self-hatred. You can admit that you made a poor decision without deciding that you are a failure. A bad decision is information. It teaches you what to notice next time. Maybe you trusted words instead of actions. Maybe you moved too quickly. Maybe you ignored your own boundaries. Maybe you allowed fear to make the decision. Maybe you listened to too many people and lost your own voice. Take the lesson and move forward. Do not spend years punishing yourself for a choice made with an older version of your understanding. The goal is growth. As you practice making your own decisions, something important happens. Your self-trust grows. You begin noticing that you can handle uncertainty. You learn that even when something goes wrong, you can adjust. You learn that one mistake does not destroy your entire future. You learn that you are more capable than you thought. This confidence is different from believing you will always choose correctly. It is believing that whatever happens, you will deal with it. That is a much stronger form of confidence. You stop asking, "What if I make the wrong choice?" And you begin asking, "If this choice does not work, am I capable of learning and changing direction?" Most of the time, the answer is yes. Life is rarely one straight path where one wrong turn ruins everything forever. You can change careers. You can end relationships. You can rebuild. You can apologize. You can move. You can start again. You can make new plans. You have more flexibility than fear often allows you to see. Another powerful habit is writing down your reasons before making a major decision. When emotions are high later, you may forget why you chose what you chose. Write the facts. Write your concerns. Write what you hope to gain. Write what you are no longer willing to tolerate. Write what values matter most. This can help you see your thinking more clearly and remind you later that your choice was not random. You should also ask yourself whether your decision supports your long-term life or only gives you short-term relief. For example, avoiding a difficult conversation may give you immediate comfort but create bigger problems later. Spending money impulsively may create temporary excitement but damage your future stability. Returning to someone because you feel lonely may reduce loneliness tonight, but bring back the same pain next month. Good decisions often require thinking beyond the emotion of the moment. Ask, what will this choice probably create 6 months from now? That question can completely change your perspective. You also need to accept that sometimes there will be no completely right answer. Life occasionally gives you 2 imperfect options. You may have to choose between stability and growth, between staying close to family and moving for an opportunity, between protecting someone's feelings and telling an uncomfortable truth, between continuing something familiar and stepping into uncertainty. In these situations, stop searching for a choice with 0 pain. Instead, ask which difficulty is worth carrying. Every path has a cost. The question is, which cost moves you closer to the life you want? You may feel sad after choosing correctly. You may doubt yourself afterward. This is normal. Do not assume doubt means the decision was wrong. The mind often misses what is familiar, even when what was familiar was unhealthy. You can miss a person you needed to leave. You can miss an old job after starting a better one. You can feel nervous after making a healthy change. Give yourself time to adjust before judging the decision too quickly. There is also great strength in learning to say, "I do not know yet." You do not need to make every decision immediately. Some choices deserve patience. Gather information. Observe. Give yourself a reasonable amount of time, but use that time intentionally. Do not confuse patience with endless avoidance. Set a point where you will decide. Otherwise, uncertainty can become a permanent lifestyle. The more you become comfortable making decisions, the less control other people's opinions have over you. You stop changing direction every time someone disagrees. You stop needing everyone to approve. You become more open to advice because advice no longer feels like a command. You can listen without losing yourself. Someone can say, "I think you are making a mistake," and instead of immediately panicking, you can calmly ask, "Why do you think that?" Then you consider their reason. If it is useful, you adjust. If it is not, you continue. That is mature confidence. It is neither arrogance nor dependence. Arrogance says, "Nobody can tell me anything." Dependence says, "Tell me exactly what to do." Wisdom says, "I will listen carefully, think for myself, and take responsibility for my choice." That is the balance you want. At some point, you have to become the decision maker in your own life. Not your friends, not strangers online, not people who are afraid of everything you want to try. Not people who only approve of you when you follow their expectations. You. Your life will always contain uncertainty, and no amount of advice can remove all of it. The goal is not to become someone who never feels unsure. The goal is to become someone who can feel unsure and still make a thoughtful choice. Trust yourself enough to choose. Be humble enough to learn. Be strong enough to accept consequences. Be flexible enough to change direction when new information appears. And most importantly, never give another person so much authority over your life that you forget you are the one who has to live it. There comes a point in life when you realize that growing stronger is not about becoming someone who never needs people. It is about becoming someone who does not lose themselves when people change, leave, misunderstand, disappoint, or fail to show up in the way you expected. Human connection matters. Love matters. Friendship matters. Family matters. Support matters. But your entire life should never depend on another person's attention, approval, loyalty, understanding, or presence. The 9 lessons in this book all lead to one important truth. There are parts of life that you must learn to carry yourself. Other people can walk beside you, but they cannot walk inside your mind. They cannot feel every fear you feel, make every difficult choice for you, create your confidence, give you permanent happiness, or guarantee that they will stay forever. The sooner you accept this, the less disappointed and dependent you become. You will sometimes be misunderstood, even when your intentions are good. You may explain yourself clearly and still find that someone sees you differently. In those moments, remember that you do not need to spend your entire life proving yourself. Know your intentions, learn from your mistakes, communicate honestly, and then allow people to think what they want. Your peace becomes stronger when you stop trying to control every opinion about you. You will also meet people who do not recognize your value. Some will overlook your effort, criticize you, reject you, or choose someone else. Do not let those moments decide what you are worth. Your self-respect must come from something deeper than applause. Build confidence through the way you live. Keep promises to yourself. Improve your habits. Protect your boundaries. Do things that make you respect the person you see in the mirror. When confidence is built from within, outside opinions become information instead of commands. There will also be difficult seasons when you wish someone would come and fix everything for you. You may feel tired of making decisions. You may want someone else to take responsibility for the problems in front of you. Accept help when it comes, but remember that your life begins changing when you participate in your own rescue. You do not have to solve everything in one day. You only have to stop waiting for someone else to take every step for you. Sometimes you will not receive closure. Someone may leave without explaining themselves. Someone may hurt you and never apologize. You may spend months wondering why something happened. Eventually, you have to decide whether knowing every detail is more important than moving forward. Some questions may never receive perfect answers. Your healing cannot remain trapped behind someone else's silence. Sometimes closure is simply accepting that what happened happened, learning from it, and choosing not to carry the same pain forever. You will also discover that not everyone will return the loyalty you give. This can be painful because sincere people often expect sincerity from others. You may show up for someone who disappears when you need them. You may protect someone who does not protect you. You may give more than someone is willing to return. Do not let that experience turn you into a bitter person, but let it make you wiser. Continue being kind, but become more careful about where you place your trust. Your happiness is another responsibility that belongs mainly to you. People can bring joy into your life, but they cannot become your entire reason for living. Build a life that still has meaning when nobody is giving you attention. Have goals, interests, routines, friendships, purpose, and moments of peace that belong to you. When you stop depending on one person to create all your happiness, relationships become healthier because you are sharing a life rather than asking someone to become your entire life. Difficult decisions will also remain yours. You can ask 10 people for advice and receive 10 different answers. Listen carefully, learn from wise people, and consider different perspectives. But remember that you are the one who must live with the consequences. Do not give away your ability to choose simply because uncertainty scares you. Sometimes confidence is not knowing that you are making the perfect decision. It is trusting that even if things do not go perfectly, you will learn, adjust, and continue. And finally, accept that people may not stay forever. Some relationships will last a lifetime. Others will last only for a season. This does not mean they were meaningless. People can be deeply important to your story without being present in every chapter. Appreciate people while they are here, but do not build your entire identity around their presence. If someone leaves, allow yourself to feel the loss, but do not leave yourself too. That may be the most important lesson of all. Never abandon yourself trying to keep someone else. Do not abandon your values to gain approval. Do not abandon your boundaries to avoid loneliness. Do not abandon your goals because someone does not understand them. Do not abandon your dignity because you are afraid someone will leave. Do not abandon your peace trying to prove your worth to people who refuse to see it. You will spend your entire life with yourself. That relationship deserves attention too. Learn how to speak to yourself with respect when things go wrong. Learn how to encourage yourself when nobody is clapping. Learn how to sit alone without immediately believing you are unwanted. Learn how to make a difficult choice without needing everyone to agree. Learn how to continue after disappointment. Learn how to begin again. The goal is not to become cold, distant, or emotionally unavailable. True strength is not pretending that you do not care about anyone. True strength is being able to care deeply without losing yourself completely. You can love someone and still have boundaries. You can miss someone and still keep moving. You can forgive someone and still decide not to trust them again. You can appreciate support and still know how to stand when support is unavailable. There is a powerful difference between saying, "I do not need anyone," and saying, "I value people, but I know how to take responsibility for myself." The first often comes from hurt. The second comes from maturity. Life will test this strength in many different ways. There may be days when nobody understands what you are carrying. There may be moments when the people you expected to stay decide to leave. There may be situations where nobody can tell you what the correct decision is. There may be nights when you have to calm your own mind and remind yourself that one difficult chapter does not mean your entire life is broken. Those moments can feel lonely, but they can also reveal your strength. Every time you survive something you thought you could not handle, you create evidence that you can trust yourself. Every time you make a difficult decision and accept responsibility for it, your judgment becomes stronger. Every time you stop chasing approval, your self-respect grows. Every time you let go of someone who repeatedly disrespects you, your boundaries become clearer. Every time you find peace in your own company, your fear of loneliness becomes smaller. Every time you continue after disappointment, you become less afraid of the future. This is how independence is built, not in one dramatic moment, but through hundreds of small choices where you decide not to abandon yourself. There will always be people you love deeply, and you should appreciate them. Tell good people that they matter. Accept help when you need it. Give support when you can. Build meaningful relationships. Let yourself be loved. Let yourself trust again even after disappointment. But underneath all of those relationships, build something stable inside yourself. Build self-respect that does not disappear when someone rejects you. Build discipline that does not depend on motivation. Build peace that does not require everyone around you to behave perfectly. Build confidence that can survive criticism. Build a life that still has meaning when plans change. Build a mind that can think for itself. Build a heart that can love without begging. Build a character strong enough to walk away when something repeatedly destroys your dignity. Then people become an addition to your life instead of the foundation holding everything together. You begin to say, "I hope you understand me, but I can survive being misunderstood. I appreciate your support, but I can still take responsibility for myself. I value your loyalty, but if you betray me, I will not betray myself too. I love having you in my life, but my happiness cannot depend entirely on whether you stay." That is freedom. It is not freedom from pain. You will still feel disappointment, heartbreak, fear, loneliness, and uncertainty. Strength does not remove those emotions. It changes what you do with them. Instead of allowing heartbreak to destroy your identity, you grieve and rebuild. Instead of allowing rejection to decide your value, you learn and continue. Instead of allowing loneliness to make you chase unhealthy people, you learn to be comfortable with yourself. Instead of allowing uncertainty to freeze you, you make the best decision you can and move forward. At the end of your life, nobody else will have lived every one of your days for you. Other people will influence your story, support parts of it, and share beautiful moments with you. But the responsibility for your life will always return to you. So become someone you can depend on. Become someone who does not disappear when life becomes difficult. Become someone who keeps showing up for themselves. Become someone who can say, "I may not know exactly what happens next, but I trust myself enough to face it." You do not need to control everyone. You do not need everyone to understand you. You do not need everyone to choose you. You do not need every person to stay. You need enough inner strength to know that whatever changes around you, you will not abandon the person within you. That is what it truly means to master the things you must face alone.